Look, I know I just used a very similar video title the other day with the mountaintop. Not trying to be a repeat Randy out here, but we gotta talk about the Hammerhead machine gun real quick and make sure that people aren't making the same mistakes. I.e., you think you got the roll, but you might be missing some important info. Unlike the original Hammerhead, which players used in Crucible, and that other core game mode that nobody talks about anymore, new Hammerhead has a lot of perk options on the table that clearly make it an interesting choice in PvE. However, I see a lot of people immediately targeting the combination of 4th times the charm and target lock, a classic machine gun combo for damaging a single beefy target. TLDR there if you're new. Focus fire on a single target, ideally paired together with a divinity to make landing crits easier, and machine gun go burr. The maximum damage potential of target lock can only be achieved if you land 110% of your overall magazine size. Again, if you're a new player and you're wondering, well, how in the fresh fuck is that possible? That's where 4th times the charm comes in. Land 4 crits and get 2 ammo back in the mag. You're repeatedly delaying the time it takes for you to reach the bottom of the mag as you fire, and the deeper you go, the more damage value you get out of target lock. On that note, let's pivot real quick and take a look at another machine gun, Retrofit Escapade. Still currently obtainable in the game, by the way, via the Revision 0 exotic mission, and it's craftable. Retrofit is a different archetype of machine gun, a rapid fire frame, but like the Hammerhead, it's also void, and like Hammerhead, it can also roll with 4th times the charm and target lock. Unfortunately, this is one of those situations where one option is just kind of better than the other. At the very base level, Retrofit Escapade's DPS, or damage per second, is already better than the Hammerhead. Looking at the rate of fire for each weapon and damage per shot, we can see that Hammerhead's base DPS is about 15% lower than Retrofit. Throwing target lock and 4th times the charm into the mix, the numbers are significantly harder to track, and that is me being polite. When exactly target lock activates depends on the overall size of the base mag, and then gives a damage buff that continually ramps up. I said it before in the auto rifle video, and I'll say it again now, I really fucking hate target lock. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's bad, it's great. I just hate having to analyze the numbers on it each and every time. The absolute insanity I had to go through to double check the math on the statement, even with both perks added, Retrofit Escapade still trumps Hammerhead, would make you cry harder than rubbing fresh cut onions all over your face. If you're interested in fiddling with numbers yourself, you can play around with the target lock calculator created by d2clarity.com. Do yourself a favor though, don't look at the left-hand side column too much, your brain will turn into pudding. The bottom line though is that 4th times the charm and target lock on the Retrofit outperforms 4th times and target lock on the Hammerhead. Not to overload your brain with math, but we take the percent buff from the handy target lock graph, and then we multiply that number by the original DPS numbers we showed earlier with Carl, remember? Either way, in short, target lock Retrofit comes out on top. Now you could try to run the numbers on Hammerhead with Envious Assassin instead of 4th times the charm, because the mag would go even deeper, and you'd be able to take advantage of the highest tier of target lock more. Reminder, target lock is based on your base magazine size. So even if you balloon your mag to over 200 rounds on the Hammerhead thanks to Envious, that doesn't make target lock start later in the mag than it would normally. Anyway, even with Envious Assassin on Hammerhead, that's still a rough comparison overall, because Envious pulls ammo from your reserves, whereas 4th times the charm both requires no prep work to activate and generates literally free ammo out of thin air while you shoot. Either way, if we do the same math exercise we did earlier based on the percent buff shown on the target lock graph, again, Retrofit comes out on top. Same situation with rewind rounds on the Hammerhead. They get pulled from your reserves, whereas 4th times the charm generates them out of thin air, and either way, Retrofit on top. Now, even with Retrofit taking the dub in the void machine gun with target lock category, I completely understand if you straight up don't want to grind for a Retrofit Escapade. Again, you can get it right now from the Revision 0 mission, and it is craftable. However, Onslaught is way easier to grind, drops a lot of loot, and is more fun in general. And if that's your attitude, honestly, I get it. I am in a very unique situation where I play games for a living, and I totally get that not everyone out there has unlimited time for perfect God roll hunting. Moving on, what about running Hammerhead for things other than single big target damage with target lock? Good question, let's touch on that. But before we do, I want to give a big shout out to World of Tanks as they're sponsoring today's video, so let's thank them real quick. World of Tanks is a free-to-play PC game that you should absolutely check out. It's a strategic and engaging game, and a must-play for those who are fans of vehicular combat. Not only that, it's a visually stunning game. You'll feel like you're on on the battlefield, and if you're knowledgeable about tanks in general, this game is for you. If you're a new player and use my invite code, which you can find down in the pinned comment, you'll get access to the Cromwell B Premium Medium Tank, 250,000 credits, and 7 days of premium access. Also, 3 rental tanks for 10 battles each. The Tiger 131 German Heavy Tank, the T-78 American Tank Destroyer, and the Type 64 Chinese Premium Light Tank. Awesome. Existing players who use my invite code will get 3 days of premium access, the Bargain Camouflage, 7-day rental of Premium Tank Centurion, or 100,000 credit compensation if you're a baller who already has that tank in your garage. Don't wait, hit up my invite code and take advantage of these great gifts and jump onto World of Tanks today, and thank you again to World of Tanks. Alright, we back. Rather than a single target damage dealer like Target Lock, why don't we talk about other rolls on the Hammerhead that can carve through orange and red bars en masse. By the way, if you're chuckling at the idea of using a heavy weapon to mow down trash, I mean, you're not wrong, but there are situations where it does make sense. One I like to point to a lot is if you're the fire team's divinity user. During the boss fight, you're going to be applying the blue diaper of pain to the big bad, meaning for every other part of the encounter, you're free to use your heavy to rip up everything and anything in the room. Hammerhead has one of my favorite machine gun perks, Killing Tally. By getting 3 kills, which ain't hard to do by the way, you buff up your damage by 30%, and that won't go away until you either manually reload your machine gun or stow it away. Combined with Extended Mag in Column 2 and Envious Assassin in Column 3, you could be looking at an ungodly deep magazine. You can get it well over 200 rounds in the mag, easy. I don't happen to have that exact roll quite yet, but I'm very interested in adding it to my collection. It's worth noting, by the way, that a very similar roll is already out there, and maybe even more worth your time depending on your playstyle. The Commemoration is also a void adaptive frame machine gun with Killing Tally, and it has access to Reconstruction. Granted, Reconstruction can't get your mag as high as Envious Assassin, but the big advantage of Reconstruction is that it literally requires no effort to proc. Stow your machine gun and it overflows your mag over time for free. No kills with other weapons required. I have a Commemoration with over 13,000 kills on it, by the way. No joke. I'm seriously tempted to keep using it over Envious Hammerhead just because I love how easy Reconstruction is. Another important thing to keep in mind, even though Envious Assassin Hammerhead will blow up your mag more, Commemoration has deeper reserves, meaning more ammo in the gun overall. You better believe I'm gonna get the Envious Hammerhead roll either way. I'm just saying my Commemoration is easy mode to use and I do love it. That being said, I get that not everybody raids, so you may not have a Commemoration to begin with. Other unique rolls on the Hammerhead that are worth looking into: Rampage and Killing Tally. Rampage living in Column 3 on any weapon is pretty damn rare, kinda like seeing a panda in a zoo that isn't acting like a drunk toddler. With both these perks active, you're looking at a 73% buff to your machine gun damage, and good lord, that is a big number. Remember, the buffs aren't added together, but multiplicative. Admittedly, you won't have the benefit of having an uber deep mag like you would with a Reconstruction Commemoration, but if you get Extended Mag in Column 2, you'd have 73 in the mag total, which ain't bad. Another perk I want to call attention to is Surrounded, which is one of the stronger damage perks in the game. When activated, you get a plus 40% damage buff, which is wild, but the annoying thing is you have to have 3 enemies within at least 8 meters of you. There are times where this can be a thing you can take advantage of. A good example on a different weapon would be hitting Crota with a surrounded sword in a very particular location in the raid, because Boomer Knights are nearby on the balcony and close enough to activate Surrounded. There definitely could be a situation in the future where you'd be near a few trash enemies who aren't really annoying you too much and you're not using rocket or grenade launchers for some reason. In a situation like that, I guess, yeah, Surrounded Hammerhead would be hot, but it's not really at the top of my to farm list right now. Hammerhead can also get Onslaught, which as far as I know is only the second machine gun able to get that perk. Combined together with Rampage, that could be fun for clearing out trash really quickly. By the way, before you bring it up, yes, I've seen Cross's video where he does very unique on-the-fly damage testing on the Templar, including the Onslaught Rampage roll. I'm just gonna say it, I don't really think that's a roll intended for DPS. I mean, you could, but you'd have to continually interrupt your own boss damage to find random targets in the room to kill and keep Rampage up. That is just unbelievably situational, which he does mention. Just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page with that roll. The final perk I want to talk about right now is destabilizing rounds. Hammerhead is one of 2 machine guns in the game that can roll that perk, but it's the only one in the game able to get it in column 3. Even though I'm probably not going to farm a ton of Hammerhead overall, I do want to keep at least one destabilizing roll, maybe together with killing tally. Reason being, every new season, or episode I guess would be the new term, we get a new artifact refresh that very much pushes 1 or 2 flavors of damage. Right now, our artifact is hardcore pushing solar, but in the future, we could get one that goes all in on void. If that does happen, I do think a destabilizing Hammerhead roll would be really fun. In short, I think Hammerhead has potential as a hard-hitting crowd control weapon. I wouldn't recommend going for the target lock roll, as I think retrofit has that category pinned down kinda hard. That being said, if you don't have a retrofit and don't have the time to get one, I get it, you do you. Also, extremely short note, if you're a machine gun fan in PvP, yeah, it goes without saying that you should go for the Hammerhead. The damn thing has a default aim assist value of 90, which is freakishly high for a machine gun. I'm more of a rocket launcher guy myself, but whatever. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.